Hey guys, we are back for yet another episode of CW Movie Night, and I'm joined by Dean the Dream and Mike the Sith Scale Collector. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing
Doing
pretty
good.
good.
Yeah,
How are
man,
you,
it's
Chris? How are you?
I'm mid move here, but I wanted to this is a pre-record, as you guys might have noticed if you're in the chat there. So I just wanted to keep the CW Movie Night flame alive, and someday we'll have the triumphant return of Classy Thomas, and we'll give him a few more movie picks. But today we are talking about another one of Dean's picks because, as far as I'm concerned, if Dean's gonna show up and do a few episodes of this in Classy Thomas's stead, he can pick some movies. So this week we are talking about Ghost in the Shell, and this would be specifically the 2017 live action remake with Scarlett Johansson. So Dean, what's the deal with this movie? Give me a little bit of your history. Why was this a pick for you?
Yeah, so I grew up kind of like when anime was like still kind of like an unknown. I was born in '89, so there wasn't really much animation in media, and the ones that were around were kind of like they were always on the Sci-Fi Channel. And they were a little more adult themed, like Akira, Ghost in the Shell, stuff like that. And so I kind of grew up with these like real gritty, dark '90s animes, which I mean, compared to even now, animation are next level in terms of, detail. Um, I guess, like, I guess, what do you call them? Frames per second,
Yeah, it's one
Um,
of those things. Like when I had Brian LeMay on for that rock and rule thing, we were talking a little bit about it. But cheaper like TV animation would be like 12 frames a second, and like feature length movies they would
right.
do the full 24. It's more money, more frames, basically.
Right. And I mean, it really comes through when you're watching it. And so Ghost in the Shell was always just something I grew up with. There was a lot of like games on like the PlayStations and, you know, toys and collectibles.
Right.
And Ghost in the Shell is just always something like that I've liked and appreciated. And so when they announced this movie, I was like, bro, absolutely, I'm there day one, 100%. And I think it's stunning. I think later on in the show we'll show like comparison frames and stuff.
Yep.
And yeah, I love this movie. It's so good.
All right. Well, I got a little timeline up here. The 1989 thing is like the first manga that came out, and it was part of like an anthology book of some kind. Uh, but I was like tangentially aware of the 1995 movie for a long time, but and I saw this Scarlett Johansson one when it came out in theaters, but in preparation for this, I actually caught the original 95 movie on a flight. And I think, Mike, you watched both too, right?
I watched most of the '95 one. I was kind of
Okay.
in and out as it was on.
Yeah. Well, you probably noticed that the live action remakes, like there's a couple key differences, but otherwise it's very faithful narratively, and a lot of the same scenes take place. So one of the things that really surprised me, sort of looking into this and prepping for the show a little bit, was and I don't know what you think about this, Dean, but let's take a little look at this Rotten Tomato score here.
Hey everyone, welcome back. This week we're looking at Ghost in the Shell. I'm going to be giving you the IMDb as well as the Rotten Tomato score. Let's kick it off with IMDb. Ghost in the Shell got a 6.3 out of 10 with 231,000 reviews. Moving on over to Rotten Tomatoes, 43% tomato meter with 298 reviews and a 51% popcorn meter with 25,000 plus ratings. What did you guys think of the film? Kicking it back to you, Chris and Dean in the studio. We'll catch you for the next movie. All the best.
So basically, in a rare case, the critics and the filthy casual mouth breathers are on the same page, and they're both giving it about a 50. This surprised me after watching it, but I think it's another case of like maybe in 2017, this movie was like too anime for like Joe North America. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, I remember, and Chris, I think we're on the same page about when the dark timeline started,
Yeah.
which is about 2016, and kind of like when the culture war really started.
I've never explicitly stated that that's what the dark timeline's about, but you're laying it out there, Dean.
Yeah, and I remember when they announced the movie, a lot of people were upset that Scarlett Johansson was chosen to play Motoko, and they wanted the Asian representation, Japanese actress, and I mean, even compared to the cartoon movies, Motoko has very like Anglo features, a more broader nose, bigger eyes. She's like really pale. And I was like, well, why don't you guys watch the movie before you start, canceling this movie or not supporting it? Like, they could very easily, I mean, if you know what Ghost in the Shell is about, they could very easily explain what's going on. And also, they need somebody to put butts in the seats, right? Scarlett Johansson is an amazing actress. She's beautiful. So, like, getting a big name, like you said, to the average, American, it's like anime? Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
And this timeline was right when ScarJo was at her peak too, right? 2017. I mean, there probably wasn't a bigger female name, at this time too.
Yeah, and so like to me it made sense. It's like, yeah, obviously Scarlett Johansson like is easy choice. And the original creator of the manga was like step by step involved in the making of this movie. So I was like, if he doesn't have a problem with any of this, like, I don't know why you're fucking taking to Twitter and making a big stink. Tanto pedo para nada, right? Like,
there you go. Whatever.
You're making it's Spanish for you're making a big stink about nothing. Like,
okay.
Okay. I thought he called you a name, Chris.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of why we see this movie sitting where it is the time and place in which it was released.
Yeah, and it was another one of those feelings where it's like, well, maybe it just seems really good because of everything that's been coming out lately. I don't know, but right now this feels really low to me, and I'm kind of appalled. But I should have pulled up what the 95 one got since Rotten Tomatoes came out like 10 years after this movie.
Yeah, I mean, Ghost in the Shell is easily, I mean, it sits up there with the greats, right? Like I said, Akira, Evangelion. Oh, am I lagging?
Not right now.
Oh, okay. Akira, Evangelion, I can't even,
it's up there.
There's like so many like, yeah, it's up there. And if you look at like, I'll pull it up, I guess.
Well, I gotta say
the original.
Yeah, like
I was just gonna say, I looked up on Rotten Tomatoes. The 95 version had a tomato score of 95 and a popcorn meter of 89.
That is a weird Rotten Tomatoes glitch in the machine because basically it's the same movie. But anyways, we'll get to it. But there's a few details that I really thought were handled better in the animated film. All right. We'll get into it here. So we're gonna talk spoilers. This is a contender for one of the most modern films we've discussed on CW Movie Night. So, but I feel like if you've seen the 95 one, you sort of know what's going on here, anyways. But we're gonna get into it. So you have like your little like a Blade Runner sort of feet crawl here. In the future, the
Yeah.
line between human and machine is disappearing. Advancements in technology allow humans to enhance themselves with cybernetic parts. And what is it? Hanka or
Hanka.
Hanka Robotics, funded by the government, is developing a military operative that will blur the line even further by transplanting a human brain into a fully synthetic body. They will combine the strongest attributes of human and robot. Well, it's a tale as old as time, but
Yeah, it's basically RoboCop, right? A government-funded agency, or I guess OCP wasn't government-funded. I think it was
that was private.
organization.
well, it was like the government was outsourcing the policing to a company. Yeah.
But it's kind of the same thing. I mean, quite literally, it's just like the brain and full robotic shell.
Right.
So
Yeah, so we open up with some sort of we don't see what happened to her. It's some sort of accident victim. She's getting rushed into the RoboCop factory basically here. And yeah, you don't get a good look at her, and I think that's sort of by design. They don't want you to feel too much one way or another about visually connecting her to what's about to happen here. But she gets rushed in here, and then we get a look at this fully synthetic body and a dome getting put in there.
yeah, the brain and its
Yeah.
protective cocoon.
Yeah. So there's some cool visuals, and like Dean was saying, this very much parallels the intro sequence to the anime. And I meant to directly check, but I don't know if they pulled the literally the exact score at parts or if they remade it very similar. But some of the music sounded like identical.
Yeah, this opening sequence is gorgeous. I mean, just on a vibe level, I'm for it. You know what I mean? Like, I was loving every second of this.
Yeah, this is and this is sort of like these are a little bit more like your like Aliens and Blade Runner type android, where once it's fully built, you can't really tell the difference between a human and a machine, other than having a look under the case there, basically. But yeah, so your skin layer applied. And in modular face parts that we see a little bit of that with some other characters in the movie, but that seems to go away pretty good when it's convenient.
It's very Cyberpunk 2077 vibes.
Yeah,
which is cool. That cyberpunk aesthetic is, I don't want to say completely ode to Ghost in the Shell, but definitely heavily influenced.
yeah. I mean, it seems like everything that's like slightly cyberpunk has a guy at like a ramen stand outside, which is ever since Blade Runner.
For sure.
Like that's a Blade Runner thing for I think, but but this movie, at least the animated one, had it. I forget if the live action one had the ramen stand or not. We'll find out here. But yeah, you see Dr. Halsey from Halo waking up ScarJo.
Dr. Ule.
Yep. Yeah. And it's
Dr.
sort of like
Ule
day one.
is an interesting character.
Yeah, I mean, there's some classic archetypes here. She's sort of the unwitting Victor Frankenstein who she can get the job done, but there's unintended ethical consequences.
Yeah, I think because you brought up Dr. Halsey, where she kind of doesn't feel fucking bad about whatever the fuck, the ends justify the means. Dr. Ule is more sympathetic, for the greater good. Some bad shit had to happen. And she kind of struggles through that throughout the movie. I definitely like Ule a lot more than Halsey.
I mean, Dr. Halsey just got weirder as the sequels kept coming, man. But yeah, so I was sort of a surface level viewer here. So what's the deal with this character? This guy is like the company. He owns the company that makes the shells, right? Basically.
Yeah, he's he's his name is Cutter. He's the basically the guy in charge of. I think he's in charge of Hanka Robotics specifically.
Okay. And yeah, so basically his attitude here is like, oh, you just made this, you just succeeded on putting a human brain in a shell. It's going to be on the street doing police work like tomorrow.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dr. Ule's like, you're crazy. Like, she's got to get used to, being alive. Because I think right before that, she wakes up and she's kind of freaking out because she can't feel her limbs at all.
Right.
Which, of course, and they kind
Yeah,
of
you don't have nerves everywhere like a person does. Yeah.
right. So they kind of shoot her with some, whatever it is that makes people go to sleep, and
A little sedative.
yeah, and he's immediately like, "Well, get her ready because she's got to start, kicking ass."
Yeah.
Yep, breaking down drug den doors and whatnot, as you do.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it kind of shows his lack of empathy for the human component of the story, where it's like she's not a person anymore. It's pretty much exactly like RoboCop. Like whatever this guy was, it doesn't exist anymore. He is now property of OCP, property of Hanka Robotics, and they got a job to do. So make sure it gets done.
And it immediately establishes him as that corporate villain. That
Right.
is such a stereotype in these movies, but I mean,
Yeah.
we can all relate to it, every single day. So he's that typical behind the curtain, evil corporate first guy.
Right. Yeah, and then you get a little taste of these sort of. I don't know if they name the city or if it's if it's
I
actually
believe
supposed to be Japan.
I think it's Hong Kong.
Okay. Oh yeah, I think you're right. I think they did mention that. And what's nice, and I mean they do a sort of a nice fly through of their digital cyberpunk city here, but
Well, actually, they're miniatures.
oh really?
Yeah, that's why I
Wow.
tried to include as many shots as I could. The buildings and stuff are all miniatures, and then of course they like add vehicles and all the
And the holograms,
CG
yeah.
and stuff like that,
Wow.
which I
Cool.
think helps it hold up a little bit more than just your typical CGI fest. I mean, it definitely blurs the line. Not like I mean, I think even Blade Runner does it better, and it predates this by 30 years or whatever. But
Yeah.
I think just that little step extra helps it kind of hold on to, it being in front of you.
Yeah, and and something that and it's probably just because it's sort of paralleling the '95 film, but sometimes when you get a movie with an environment like this, you never see it during the day, and I was pleasantly surprised that they have a good amount of daytime city action in this film.
Yeah, I tried not to show it every single time in these slides, but it was such a cool thing to see that I tried to put a lot of city scopes in the slides.
Right. Yeah, and then our opening little action scene here. You have some I guess they're
Those corpos.
yeah, they're dealing something here. Some guys you have these geisha robots serving them. I don't know if you have this, if you can pull this guy's name up on IMDb, the guy on the right there, but he was like, I recognized him right away because he's the villain in the original Crow.
Yeah.
And he's in like Alien Resurrection and some stuff. He's just in little character actors and all kinds of bit parts there. He's the guy who gets killed by the geisha robots here, who go all homicidal shortly.
Yeah, I'm looking for his name and he's not
Yeah.
coming up.
Yeah, he just stood out to me because I was like, hey, there's that
Yeah.
generic villain in some movies.
He is. Isn't he in Robin Hood too? Prince of Thieves.
Sounds right. He looks about 45 at all times over the last
Yeah.
30 years. I don't know what's the deal with that, but yeah, but so you have a little bit of back and forth between ScarJo
Armaki.
and yeah, that's okay. So he's like So he's like the he's like Section 6 head, or what's the deal here?
Yeah, he's like in charge of all the whatever, like, I don't know, I guess it's like a team of, I don't know what you would even call them, because they're kind of like SWAT, espionage,
Right.
you know,
And the other agents are like cybernetically enhanced, but she's the only one that's like fully a robot other than the brain.
yeah,
Not to step back, but it's Michael Wincott.
Okay. Yeah.
oh, okay.
Took longer than it should have.
What's his
Yeah, well-
character name? I don't think they ever say it.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
let me go
he's
back
sort
to
of a
that.
plot point, right? Because they look into why he was assassinated, right? There's some, like, he was killed for some
Yeah.
arms related reason, arms dealing reason or something. But yeah, they sort of try and figure out why he was killed, and when they watch back the VR of the geisha, you get a close up on him. But yeah, these guys are, you know, you get your first action set piece right out of the animated film where she dives off the roof here and in slow motion and breaks through the window. You know, it's pretty gratuitous, fun stuff.
Definitely a little fan servicey, but also
Yeah.
very badass.
And
You see her
it's
turn
true.
invisible.
Yeah, and it's true to the source material. You know, you had some like these geisha robots like totally just wrecked shop and they had this criminal gang with their Oculus Rifts and assault rifles busted in there too.
Yeah, I actually kind of really enjoy the fact that they don't just kill indiscriminately. Like everybody there that isn't a target doesn't get killed. And I was like, oh, how nice of these guys.
Killers with a heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know, it shows the dumb stuff I focus in on. Like, I was like, oh man, in the animated movie, the hologram fish in the background were arowanas, and these are beta fish. That's just not as cool, man. But yeah, you know, you get a big hologram beta fish back there. So this is okay. So if I'm not mistaken, this this is like the biggest difference between the animated film and the live action remake, right? Like this sort of the background details of the main antagonist and sort of how they're presented, right? I feel like you get a lot more in the like sort of background for this character in the 2017 movie, but yeah, I don't. You just get a taste of them here, but you're not see them yet.
Yeah, you don't even, man, you really don't even figure out who or what is going on for quite a good stretch of the movie, but they introduce him very early. His name's Kuze.
Right.
Which I remember the first time I started watching this movie, I was like, man, this guy's really fucking annoying. Because they just keep like kind of dropping him in, and you don't really get it until much later. But
Yeah.
you know, having watched the movie several times, I've really enjoyed this character a lot.
Yeah, at this part, it's just sort of a little visual flash. You see this guy. I don't even know. You don't even know if it's a guy at this point, probably, but he's hooked up to like 50 Ethernet cables in his little meditation chamber there. But yeah, no. So you know, here's the geisha robot's got a little hostage situation going on here. She breaks in, wrecks shop.
Yeah, Major breaks through the glass. Pretty iconic scene, I think. Kind of,
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if they did this on purpose, but Deadpool 2 does this almost exact scene. Like almost like the same set
that's
pieces and
right.
everything. It's
Yeah.
very similar, but super iconic too. Again, just right out of the anime. It's so cool.
Yeah, that'd be a weird. I mean, there's no joke there, right? So it's kind of a weird thing to reference. It's just like let's use other movies as storyboards for our action sequences.
I mean, it could completely be coincidence. I have no idea if it is, but it, like watching it back, I was like, oh yeah, Deadpool 2 did this.
Yeah, I mean, and it's cool to see some of the more functional robots. Like, they're not trying to look fully human. They're just, these are the type of stuff you get to serve drinks and take care of old people. They're just
Yeah, Elon Musk kind of.
yeah.
I forget what his is called, but yeah, all
Well,
these were actually hand built by Weta Workshop.
oh, cool.
You can find a lot of the behind the scenes on YouTube and stuff. And these props are beautiful. I think what's his name?
Looks like a clock.
From Mythbusters. What's his name?
Oh, Adam Savage.
Adam Savage. I think Adam Savage did a like Ghost in the Shell kind of tour, like when the movie was coming out.
Oh yeah.
And he gets hands on with this specific prop, and it's insane. The amount of detail.
And she blasts it in the head, and then
She fucking blows on this thing, dude.
Detail.
yeah.
And then this is where you're introduced to her sidekick. Well, I mean, I guess they're all her sidekick, but him specifically, Bato. He's super cool. He's played by Pillow Asbeck. I don't know if that's how you say it, but he's in Game of Thrones. He's who's he in Game of Thrones? I said his name the other day. With all the ships.
Oh right, yeah. The Iron Islands guy. Yeah. I forget his name. He's a dingus in that show. Yeah,
that's right.
All right, that's cool. That probably filming around the same time as this, and if it was early seasons that he was in, but yeah. So so like here,
Euron Greyjoy.
there you go. Yeah. So like we're gonna cover it back, but do you remember off the top of your head, Dean? This guy in the animated version, he's got the robot eyes to begin with, right?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure he does. Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Okay. So yeah, spoiler alert: he suffers a horrible accident at some point coming up.
Yeah, coming up real fast.
Yeah.
It's funny because I remember it happening in the movie, and when I was rewatching it, I was like, "Oh, it happens actually relatively quickly." I remember it kind of being late in the movie, but
Yeah, it might be one of those Hollywood things where they're like, you got to show the actor's eyes. It's 2017, so they haven't figured out that The Mandalorian season 1 and 2 would be a success yet. So they're still under the conception that you got to show the actor's eyes. But I think he does look properly funny once he gets his upgrade. But yeah, so we get a little look at Major's apartment, I think, or is this inside Section 6? Or
no, this is her apartment.
Okay.
Yeah, this is another scene ripped straight from the anime.
Okay.
Very cool. And I think this is where it first shows her. They call them glitches. But she keeps seeing things from her past that she can't reconcile. And so it's like, oh, they're just glitches. Don't worry about it. And she has to like take this medicine that they tell her it does one thing, but it really does something else.
Right.
But we don't know that yet watching this. And so it just introduces that here.
So the cat wasn't there.
Correct. It's just a glitch.
Right.
Also very much like RoboCop.
Yeah,
exactly.
Glitching in these memories.
Yeah. Stop remembering your family. Your wife has a new husband. You better not go visit her.
Yeah, stop driving by her house.
Yeah. Yeah. And and I saw I meant to screen grab it specifically, but there's like there's a billboard in like the opening sequence that's like exactly like the Sorayama like heavy metal cover with like the chrome robot lady. It's pretty cool. I meant to screenshot it. It's like clearly a direct reference to that painting. But,
nice. Yeah, we got some Heineken back here. That's what I really appreciated about Blade Runner. It was, like Atari, Coca-Cola. They had some like very recognizable advertisements that made it feel a little bit more like I could see this happening.
They pay homage to Blade Runner multiple times in this film too, which is nice to see.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
so
know
this
my
is
Hong Kong architecture. Maybe that's a one. There might be one or two real Hong Kong buildings in some of these shots. I don't know.
yeah. I don't know if this is, but this is the section. Is it section 6 or sector
There's
9 or whatever?
there's
I think it's
6 and 9.
9. Yeah, I think they're
This
9.
is their headquarters, and this is where they kind of go over the crime scene of what just happened.
Right.
Crazy tech.
Yeah, well, what you know what it reminded me of is, and this was probably around the time they were doing that, but like is somebody went viral for showing sort of like how you can like 3D map buildings with Wi-Fi signals, and it looked a lot like that. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah,
you can see like the outline of people's bodies are just like static, but it's like it's almost like you could have a like if you had a way of recording how the Wi-Fi bounces off everything, it's almost like the sonar thing and Batman in the
Yeah,
Dark Knight
Dark
that
Knight.
Morgan Freeman has. Yeah,
yeah.
but it's
Very
like you,
dystopian.
yeah, this is pretty high fidelity compared to how the Wi-Fi actually looks. But they can sort of replay the whole scene, and
They kind of get a lead on who was responsible and where to go.
yeah,
Um, and then she gets a ass chewing from her leader
the chief.
Aramaki. Yeah, the chief.
The
He's
angry
such a
chief.
badass in this movie, dude.
Yeah.
He's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a little more sympathetic of a character, but you get the vibe he's really looking out for them. But you know he demands that they respect his authority, and she didn't in that one instance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then we move to Bato and Major kind of going about their day. And this sleaze bag kind of like he's like offering up enhancements for humans, right? In the
right.
scene before, her teammate got a new liver so he could drink all night.
And that
So
that was the
it's
best.
yeah, it's kind of like it's like very like cyberpunk, like, oh, I'm gonna go upgrade whatever today, you know. And
Right.
it kind of shows Bato is very like against doing stuff like that, which kind of
Yeah.
plays into what happens to him later. But it also shows that, you know, I think it's the next slide. He takes care of dogs, you know, on his free time, you know, stray dogs, which is super cute. And it kind of just shows the more human side of this very technological advanced, you know,
Yeah.
society.
Yeah, and she thinks taking care of stray dogs is real stupid. She does not understand that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a cat person.
Yeah.
She is a cat person. There you go. I also, okay, moving on. I tried to include as many shots of this car as possible because it's so fucking cool, dude. His car in this movie is insane.
Do you any idea what this car is based off? Like, is it
I
modeled off
want to say
something?
it's based off a Lotus the Esprit.
Okay.
I think
I
that's
felt
what
it
it's
looked a
based
lot
off
like
of.
the like it was based off the Ferrari that Magnum
The
PI used to
Testarossa?
drive around.
Yeah,
Like
the
the
Testarossa.
angles of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know, or it could also just be completely unique because
Yeah.
again, like you have like this weird Cadillac looking thing with like no engine. It's like a almost like shaped like the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Just like
That's interesting.
vehicles always catch my eye in these
Yeah.
kinds of movies.
Yeah, so we got a little checkup scene here where they're she damaged her wrist or something, right? Against when fighting the geisha robots.
Yeah, she got her forearm got shot or something, and so she's just going in for a checkup and repair. We see Dr. Ule again, and then while they're there, her and Bato go to the, I guess, medical area where they have the geisha robot. They're trying to figure out, you know, where she came from, who ordered her to do whatever, and they pretty much have to like directly connect because she's encrypted so well. So they hook up Major to directly to the geisha, and she does like this deep dive, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I do love like a symbolic representation of computer hacking with like piles of like zombies and whatnot. You know, it's like how do you show that? How do you show like electrons going down like a micro-sized cable? Well, you depict it as if it's all real people doing stuff. Uh, I don't know. Like this. It's a fun sequence, but you sort of realize how it's going to play out. What I was surprised by is he sort of pulls the cable out, and it's like I don't think you safely ejected that, bro. Like
Yeah, 100%. She definitely had some kind of memory loss there.
yeah,
But after the hack, or I guess connection, she's able to figure out where the geisha came from specifically, because she's walking around in like a 3D version of the bar,
okay.
and they're able to figure out where that bar is.
And she gets another look at our mysterious antagonist, if I remember correctly. But it's real brief again.
Yeah, it's another nighttime shot. They're like, all right, let's go, guns blazing. Well, not guns blazing. We're gonna go in as undercover as possible, but it doesn't. It ends up not working out very well.
Why is this guy glazed? Like what?
Oh,
He's so
he is sweat. I don't know, dude. It's so funny. This guy is hilarious. Definitely a fucking dirtbag, but I enjoy.
Yeah, he's a
him on
John.
screen.
Yeah.
She gets taken to the back. She goes in there asking the wrong questions, so they take her, into the back room and kind of start, I guess, assaulting her with a cattle prod, and being very inappropriate. Which I don't really understand the cattle prod. I mean, she's a machine, so I guess it would still hurt. Or if she's faking that it hurts, because she doesn't feel pain.
Yeah, I mean, it's an I could see a cattle prod messing with an electronic device.
Yeah. So I was a little confused. I had to watch the scene a few times. I was like, is she faking it? Does she give it away at any time that she's faking it? But
no built-in surge protector.
right. Even her voice is kind of broken. When she's like, I don't like dancing.
Like he also had some kind of like Wi-Fi disruptor, so she couldn't contact her partner. Like they sort of lost comms at one point, and then
the scene with Bato in the bathroom. You already skipped it. Okay, that was a really funny scene.
That's what we got.
Yeah, his partner is outside with guns in the bathroom, and he's using the urinal, waiting for it to be empty. This is a really funny scene. But he gets the guns, and then for some reason, I'm not sure, they come up to him, the barkeeps or the bouncers, and the shit hits the fan because Major starts kicking ass in the VIP lounge. He's shooting everybody in the bar, and Major's like, okay, I'm going to go find this guy because he's supposed to be here. So they kind of wind up in the back of the bar, and this is where they fall into a booby trap, and Bato gets hurt.
Yeah, she notices that it's all rigged up to explode at the last possible second, and she pushes him out of the way, but those eyeballs got toasted.
Yeah.
Somehow only his eyes.
No, it's his arm. I think I included the...
oh, was it?
The screenshot. It's really hard to see, but you could kind of see where they attached like a...
Okay.
Maybe it's a skin graft or whatever.
Okay.
But they wake up in the hospital being completely rebuilt, essentially.
Yeah. Now the thing is, like, so if her chest was blown up to that degree, like, that's probably a whole new face on there.
For sure.
Yeah, they needed a whole new face because they would have been gone. But yeah. So you see how modular it is, and here we got to look at the cybernetic peepers on Bato. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like the way they did his eyes, but as you can see, his neck and his shoulder and his chest.
Yeah, you see it there.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, Mike, when I first saw the movie, and it wasn't until I was doing the screenshots that I was like, oh, he got a little more fucked up than I thought he did.
And you know, I got to say this: the fact that they included this in this version, I actually liked because I feel like it gave some character depth, some character building to him, which I think is missing in some aspects of this film. You know, so to show that he's kind of against this to begin with, and then he chooses these type of eyes, he kind of makes the point that he's a company man and it's best for the job, kind of establishing what it will lead to later when he kind of has to make a choice as far as whose side he's going to be on, right? He's clearly established as a company man right here. So, if he has to go after Major or, choose to toe the company line.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about it that way, but yeah, it's there is a scene that we'll get to later on the boat. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and I think it also sort of helps set up the world and just sort of show a practical use case where someone gets an upgrade, and it's kind of like it's a little bit like those guys who are like it's like someone who believes in like homeopathic medicine, but once they get cancer, it's like okay, I'm getting the chemo, man. It's all good. Once push comes to shove, he gets the eyeball upgrade rather than being blind. But yeah. So he asked her to feed the dogs for him, and she obliges there.
Yeah, he didn't want to scare the dogs. And what's this guy? I think his name's Winston, the little dog.
I missed that. If that's true.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
I think his name is Winston. I could be wrong, but yeah, it's cute.
Yeah,
I like the screenshot of her just staring at the dog like, what am I doing here?
I mean, they do. It does sort of convey that she is gaining a little bit of humanity by this experience.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right.
And then here we Cutter is yelling at Aramaki about her taking needlessly risky
Took too much damage, really. That's what he doesn't like.
Yeah, you're costing us way too much money. You need to rein her in because she's fucking out of control.
Yeah, and you get this sense that they're always button heads about the use of the weapon, which I mean, to me it seemed a little bit strange that he's bothered by like I forget what his real complaint was, because it seems weird that he'd be concerned about her getting damaged because he wanted her on the front lines, but it's like just exposure to the general public and collateral damage and stuff.
I think it's more to kind of chasing this lead, right? Because she knows where it's gonna kind of fall back to.
Right. Yeah, that's probably subtly hinted at there because you're not supposed to know yet. And then she goes briefly to look for a prostitute or something.
Yeah, picks up a prostitute.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
she just wants to talk though. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird scene. Does this happen in the anime? I don't remember.
I don't think so. I don't remember it if it does.
I don't remember it if it did.
But yeah, she's just she's struggling with her humanity side and her robot side because earlier when she killed the geisha robot, she's looking at it like it's a machine all torn apart, and Bato is like, hey, you're nothing like that. But I mean, she kind of is, so that's kind of where she's struggling. So I think she just picked up a prostitute to I don't even know. It's definitely it's an existential thing.
When she first goes up to her, she asks are you real, implying that probably most of them are not.
Yeah, it's like Blade Runner.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly.
In 2049, although the roles are reversed, right? The prostitute's real and Kay isn't, and she's like, "Oh, you don't even smile, you're fucking weird." So it's the reverse of that, where she's like, "I want to," because she's touching her lips and her face. And she's like, "What does it feel like?" Because she can't feel that stuff. Which again is why I think the cattle prod thing wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, they hit the SSD with that thing, and it's bad news. Yeah. What? Yeah. So
It
they're
goes
they're
back
reviewing
to the
that data. Yeah.
yeah, it goes back to the doctor. What's her name? Not Ule,
Well,
but the one that helped him with the geisha. I forget her name,
yeah.
but
She's not long for this earth.
literally right now. She's looking at this file. What was it? Project 2571.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this is kind of when the shit hits the fan, where like all the pieces start falling into place, and she immediately gets murked, going over this data, and you're like, oh,
Yep.
what the hell is this about?
Yep. They pull her dang eyes out, but they're meant to come out, so it's not so bad. There's the car again.
Yeah, so Bato and Major are taking a cruise. God, that car is so cool, dude. With that teal interior, bro. Fuck, I love I love this car. And they're like, "Hey, get over here right now because the doctor was just killed." And they're like, "Shit, okay." So they flip the car around, hightail it back to Hanka, and they start going over the crime scene.
Right.
They figure out the file, and they're like, "Oh, all these people are either dead, just died, or are still alive, and the only one left is Ule." So they're like, "Shit, we need to protect Ule." So they're trying to contact her, but she's not responding. So like, we got to go to her.
Right.
So they hightail it out of there, and this is where we're introduced to the garbage truck guys again, just like the anime.
Yep. And you see one of the pitfalls of having Neuralink is that you can, if you're really stupid, you can be hacked and they'll make you do bad stuff.
Well, so this is the thing, because I was like, wait a minute. I thought these were just garbage guys on work. And then I was like, well, where did they get guns from? Because they come out of this car, they attack Ule, which is actually a really cool scene. Again, straight out of the anime, with the little fingers on the keyboard.
Yep.
And they get out guns blazing. And luckily, Section 9 is right around the corner to stop these guys from killing Ule. Look at that. The gun in the door? Are you kidding me?
Shit.
Come on, that's badass. So they kind of thwart these guys from killing Ule. It's a really cool. The set piece is really cool because like an alleyway, and there's like cars and people shooting.
Yeah, an alleyway that goes up like 100 stories with like all
Yeah.
kinds of weird stuff dangling off the sides. Yeah.
Yeah, and then again, straight out of the anime, this exact scene. I think the plane's going the other way in the anime though,
Crazy.
but still very cool. Then it shows him running through water, and you see Major. I don't know how she got up there so fast, but she's on top of a building. Really cool shot.
Yep. And
And
this
then it gets to, I don't even know what this is, like a pool?
well, I mean, I think it's an excuse to get the active camo in the water because it looks awesome. but
Yeah.
yeah.
But again, ripped straight from the anime, this whole sequence.
Right.
You see the Hong Kong skyline, and this dude is being attacked by someone he can't see, and he's just
Yeah.
shooting his gun into the water, and she beats his ass. And Bato comes and stops her.
He might be. Yeah. He's on his last legs there. Yeah.
Yeah, he pulls him out so he doesn't drown. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And this is where they start interrogating the guy. And he has, for all intents and purposes, no idea what they're talking about. He was hacked, and whoever hacked him put fake memories into his head. And so he's like,
Yeah.
I have a daughter. I live over here. Actually, he doesn't even know where he lives because it doesn't exist. He's like, don't I live? Where do I live? Tell me where I live. Like, he can't, which is very creepy and very sad.
Yeah.
And that kind of explains why he had guns in a garbage truck, because somebody put him there. He wasn't just a garbage guy. Which helped explain that scene, because I was like, that's confusing.
Yeah, weirdly, I don't know, maybe maybe I'm maturing as a content consumer, but I found this character more sympathetic in the animated version for some reason. I don't know why. Like his sadness around not actually having the wife and kid seemed more palpable in that version of it. I don't know if it was, maybe this guy just looks like such a troublemaker that it's hard to be
It's the
sympathetic
mullet,
towards him.
isn't it?
Right. It's like he deserves it.
Yeah, it's
Don't
like you don't
say
have
that.
a kid. This mullet guy doesn't have a kid that he cares about, but
No one loves him.
and so then he uses the neck restraint to kill himself. And I don't remember that happening in the animated one. I don't know if it does or not. I don't remember it though.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's kind of they're interrogating him. He's not giving him anything, because for all intents and purposes, he doesn't have anything to
He
give
doesn't
them.
know.
right.
And it isn't until Kuze shows up via Wi-Fi through a lie detector and talks to her through him. And I guess at that point, the guy is like, "Oh, I don't have a wife and kid," and he's so sad he fucking kills himself. It's like, damn,
Right.
that's dark.
Yeah, I forgot about that. It's like, it's like Independence Day when the alien like grabs Brent Spiner by the neck and uses him to speak English.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good time.
Just like that.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah. While they're talking to each other, Major and Kuze, they're able to triangulate where exactly he's at.
Yeah,
And so they go in, guns hot this time,
yeah.
and start. It's like I'm pretty sure it's drugs, but it's whatever they're doing in this place is no good. So they're
Mining
killing
Bitcoin.
people.
Yep.
Yeah, but they're mining Bitcoin and, and
Well, that's what-
piles of cocaine.
It looks like they're using brains to mine Bitcoin because they're hooking up too many PS5s together takes too much energy. But
Yeah, the human's its own battery. So
exactly.
yeah. So they're
Yeah.
kind of walking around. Major gets hella separated. This part confused the hell out of me, because they walk in together. She starts seeing these glitches of old memories, and while she's distracted, she gets attacked. And then he hooks her up to the machine, but it's like, where the fuck are all your friends? Where did he have time to do this? It just immediately took me out of the movie. This is like my biggest complaint, is this scene in particular. But this is where you finally see Kuze face to face with Major. And
Right.
he kind of tells her without telling her why he's doing what he's doing. And he's like, this is where the revelation is. She's not the first person to have a brain put into a synthetic body.
Yeah.
That they get the brains from somewhere. And he's like, don't take the medicine they give you because it suppresses your memories, which is sort of those glitches she's getting. So all this stuff starts falling into place for her. And you kind of, I don't want to say you sympathize with Kuze, because at the end of the day, he's murdering innocent people. I mean, how innocent are they? Have you guys watched The Boys, the last season of The Boys?
Can't say I have.
Okay, well, they basically, this like group of scientists did a bunch of experiments on Homelander as a kid, and he goes and kills them all. And it's like, well, they're just doing their job, but like the job is horrific. So it's like, are they innocent? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of one of those things where like you kind of see where Homelander's coming from, but also like,
Yeah.
do they deserve to die for it? It's complicated.
Yeah, so basically the idea you sort of get is that he's like the prototype for this setup, and it didn't work quite as well as it did on her. But when you find out their identities, though, it's sort of like, well, was he like 4 days earlier? Like,
Yeah, what are the odds? Yeah, it's very weird.
yeah, but
But she
Yes.
does not hesitate to shoot this guy. he's like, "Go ahead, kill me," and she pretty much takes him up on his offer. But he's a robot, so he doesn't
Yeah.
die. And they kind of have this weird, kind of tender moment where she kind of gets it for a second, and then Bato comes in to save her. Which, where have you been, bro? I don't know how long it takes to put somebody in that machine, but it's like, hello.
Yeah. But
And
he notices that she lets him go. Basically, that's like the key thing. She's like
Yeah.
sort of stunned and not apprehending him while he runs off, and then she
and then
runs
she
away.
runs off.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm out of here too. And Bato's like, what the fuck is going on? He's confused.
Yeah.
And then she shows up to Dr. Ule's house and is like, yo, you better tell me what the hell's going on. Because this dude is saying one thing. I'm experiencing stuff that, is corroborated with what he's saying. And Dr. Ule spills the beans. She's like, yeah, sorry. I just got the brains and I tried to do the thing. I didn't ask where the brains came from, but that's what it is.
And she's staying in one of those novelty Japanese hotels where you basically sleep in a coffin-sized box.
One of those, And so she's like, I need to go think about what the hell's going on. I need some time to myself.
Yeah.
Section 9 can't seem to find her, but Bato's like, I know her better than anybody else. I know where she's at. So he...
The bottom of a lake.
Yeah, again, ripped straight from the anime.
Yeah, but she's not. I don't think she's not like on the run basically at that part of the anime, right? Like because it plays out a little differently with the antagonist, I think, right?
I think so. But yeah, it's the scene right after this in this movie where but she thinks he's there to kill her, and he's like, "Are you kidding me? Like, you should know me better than that. Like, you're fucking crazy." And so there's a little tension there. But this is kind of where it takes a turn for her.
Right.
Cutter basically puts out an APB on her to be decommissions, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, it happened to RoboCop too. You outlive your usefulness as one of these company assets, and Ule is one of the last the last people who knows about the previous project. So it's about time that she stops creating trouble. Look at these gimp suit guys.
They're badass, dude. Also, what a babe, dude. Scarlett Johansson is so fine in this movie.
So she allows herself to be apprehended here due to the overwhelming numbers. But I mean, she probably could have taken them.
Yeah, they kind of knock her out. She's having again glitches of being here before.
Yeah, it's like the same hallway from the opening of the movie.
Right. And then she wakes up in I guess this is like where she's usually like repaired.
Yeah.
But something's different this time. Cutter is requesting that Ule destroy her. Euthanize her brain, I guess, is what he's asking her to do. And Ule's, well, I could just erase all this information, and it's like she never met this guy before. And he's like, no, it's not good enough. We're going to start again. And Ule's basically like, okay, fine. But she does a classic Ule switch arounds and doesn't euthanize Major. I guess she gives her adrenaline, maybe, is what happens.
Something less lethal than instant death, yeah.
Well, because she's like lethargic here on the table. She's like almost falling asleep. She's drugged. So it had to be adrenaline because immediately she's up and ready to kick ass. And boy, does she. She whoops everyone's ass. It's not even close. And she gets out of there and Cutter kills Ule.
Yeah, and of all the glass that I would have expected to be bulletproof, it was this one, but
For
it's
real,
not.
dude.
Yeah, it's not the case. Um,
Yeah, Major gets on one of the most badass motorcycles I've ever seen. It's a Honda.
right.
All the vehicles in this movie are so cool looking.
Yeah, that tire almost looks like a sphere. That's crazy. Um, so we got. Yeah.
So Cutter goes to Section 9 and starts talking to Aramaki. And it's basically like, hey, she's rogue. She killed Dr. Ule. She's crazy because Kuze got to her. So she's now an enemy of everybody. So you need to bring her in. And Aramaki is like, I don't fucking answer to you, dude. So eat a dick. And Bato is also ready to beat this guy's ass, but he's actually not there in the room. He's like a hologram.
Okay. Some classic, like endless Hong Kong apartment building background there.
Yeah.
So
and then,
was this part of one? Was this apartment complex part of one of her like flashbacks glitches?
No, I think. Oh man, I remember. Hold on. I watched this movie 2 weeks ago when we were supposed to do this originally.
Right.
I think Kuze gives her like a key tag with the apartment number on it. I think is what
Yeah,
happens.
that sounds right. Yeah.
And so she's able to track down where to go, and this is where she meets who we later find out is her mother. And she doesn't know why she's there, but we see the cat from her visions. And it starts kind of making sense, like, oh, this is her mother. And
right. And so this is like a subplot that's like maybe it's in the manga, but it's not in the 1995 movie as far as I remember, right?
I don't think so. It's been so long since I watched it.
Yeah, I don't think it's in there, but it does sort of line up interestingly with the ending of the 95 movie, which they were not brave enough to do in the Scarlett Johansson version, where she gets a new body at the end. That's a little bit weird, but yeah. So like she has this. She basically it's not very subtle where they sort of explain. Like this lady just lets her in and is being like super friendly and like it's almost I found the scene a little bit ham-fisted, and I do wonder if some of that sort of writing is like why this stuff got a negative reaction early on, because it's just like I feel like it's so not Western cinema to like have somebody invite you in off the street in a sketchy neighborhood and like serve you tea and like start talking about deep personal traumatic things.
Yeah, it definitely does seem. I watched the scene twice because I was like, did I miss some kind of dialogue where it's like she has the cat, walks to the door, and then the lady's like, come in. And I was like, did I miss something?
Yeah.
But I think it speaks more to the mother's state of mind that she's lonely, right? Like all she had was her daughter and she was taken from her. And it's only been a year, right? From
that's true.
The start of the movie to now. So that's how I took it. It's like she's so desperate for any kind of, company that it's like, oh, come in. And she kind of sees her daughter without knowing it, like, oh, the way you look at me reminds me of my daughter, which freaks out Major, and she's like, I gotta get the hell out of here. And the first thing the mother asks is like, are you gonna visit me again? Like she needs that so badly that that's how I kind of read the scene.
Yeah, I mean,
but you're not wrong.
It's really for you to miss the fact that Major was at one point her daughter. You'd have to be asleep at the wheel. It's very direct. But yeah, we're sort of nearing the climax here. This guy's got his like dirty hairy revolver in the desk.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah,
An
this part was
8-shot.
badass.
Yeah, this is kind of when Aramaki is basically like Cutter is unhinged, so we need to start watching over ourselves. And he contacts, Major had gone off the grid. They had no idea where she was at. So she comes back online and she's like, hey, Cutters did all this shit. And Aramaki's like, can you prove it? And she's like, well, Ule can. He's like, well, she's dead. So, we're kind of on our own here. So he kind of tells everybody, like, go silent, get on comms. But Cutter's listening in. But I think, actually, I know Aramaki's one step ahead of this dude. So
Yeah, this is a great scene where he's going out to his car and he gets ambushed here. I did not see this coming at all.
yeah, it's actually really cool knowing that it's happening, watching his body language getting in the car where he places his suitcase. It's like he knows what's about to happen, and yeah, he gets ambushed by three of those, what did you call them?
The gimp suit goons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the gimp suit
Gimp
goons.
suit goons.
And they think they got him, but he comes out with his suitcase shield and blows them all away. And then says one of the coolest lines. This subtitle, I added this subtitle because it wasn't in one screenshot. Because I was like, bro, don't send a rabbit to kill a fox is amazing.
Yeah. Nice little practical framing there with the blown out window. It's good.
Yeah, and then this is where you see the other members of Section 9 getting hunted, essentially.
Hey, there's your ramen stand.
Yeah,
shot.
yes.
Yeah, it is technically a cyberpunk film. There's a ramen stand. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Major goes back online so Kuze could find her. And I guess she could find him. But Cutter's watching every step of the way. Uh-oh. And her mother had told her while she was there that they used to hang out in the, God, what did she call it? The outlands, the lawless zone. I think it's the lawless zone.
Yeah, it's where it's like where your anti-capitalists hang out today and protest stuff.
Yeah, like Cursed Earth and Dread,
Yeah, exactly. And so you might recognize that structure from one of her previous glitches. Yeah. All
So
burned
she
out.
goes in there and starts looking around, and she starts getting flashbacks of what happened to her. Basically, her and Kuze and her group of friends were, rebellious youths, I guess, and Cutter's goon squad. Who's going to miss these kids, right? They're runaways. Meat for
Fresh
the grinder.
brains.
Yeah, fresh brains. So they basically killed them for no reason, essentially. So this is where like everything kind of falls in place and you get the full picture. And Kuze comes to find her, and they realize that they were, I guess, lovers.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It totally throws a wrench in the whole. How many brains, or how long was he been worked on before her?
Yeah, because they got him at maybe she was in a freezer for a while or something, but not that long. Like the whole story's a year, right? But yeah, they really got their act together after that first screw up. That's really what it comes down to.
Well, Dr. Ule said that there was, fuck, Mike, do you remember how many she said?
I
I
don't.
think it was like 19 or something bodies.
She
before.
said dozens, and then I think it was even more than that. But those ones might have been ahead of him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you're
so
right.
the-
She said dozens, so maybe like
Yeah.
30.
Yeah, but
Immediately get ambushed by Cutter,
yeah.
blown to smithereens by a spider droid. I don't know if you guys know Ghost in the Shell usually, but the spider droid, very iconic. Doesn't look like this.
Yeah, that was
they're
one
more-
of the biggest thing for me. Like the biggest design fail of this 2017 version for me is like, why didn't you just make the spider tank look exactly how it does in the 1995 movie? It's so
Yeah.
much better looking than this. This is just like early 2000s CGI vomit, and like the spider tank from the anime is like iconic.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
more about the size of a car than like a tank, but
But just the color and like the shape of the parts and the
yeah.
legs and everything
looks
in the
more
animated
like a
one,
spider. Yeah.
it just looked better in every way. This is just like a gray blob, but it's it's dangerous.
It almost reminds me
Yeah.
of the mechs in the new version of RoboCop, where it's like, let's make it as aggressive and militaristic as possible,
Right.
instead of like what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah,
I didn't hate
but
it, but I didn't like it.
yeah, but some of the strategic mechanics of this fight are very similar to the old animated film, and like where she's hiding out, and
Yeah, it's very,
Yeah.
very cool to watch. It's
Yeah.
a cool little.
yeah, it
Bull
reminded me of like a Gears of War boss fight or something. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, so Cutter's just blasting everything to hell, and he thinks he got her. And she jumps on top and goes
Yep.
for like, it's basically like the brain of the spider tank.
Yeah.
And what a cool scene, dude. I love this scene. She rips the top off, her limbs are falling apart, her muscle fibers are tearing through the suit because she's trying so hard.
Yeah, and the arm just blows up.
Yeah.
Pretty good stuff. I mean, right, like you said, right out of the anime. And then your nondescript big gray spider tank is mostly toast there.
Yeah, and then she falls, and Kuze comes back to her, and he's like, "Hey, come with me in like, I guess like the digital frontier. Like, I can live there forever, and so can you." And she's like, "No, I think I'm gonna stay." Which I kind of don't understand.
Not
why,
willing to
but-
commit.
Yeah, I guess
Well-
like she's like, "Well, my mother's here, you know."
My friends are here.
Yeah, and so I have more to live for, even though I'm just a brain, essentially.
Yeah, but philosophically, even if you're at least a brain in a jar, your sort of stream of consciousness is like still going, right? But once you merge into the ones and zeros, that's just a copy essentially, right? So it's weird to me that you'd have to make a choice, yes, one way or the other. Like if she should be able to do both, basically, is what I'm saying. Because you just make a copy that goes into the Kuze brain Bitcoin network. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, and it's funny enough because it's also Scarlett Johansson in the movie Her with the AI.
right, yeah.
And they're like, well, we're going to transcend even what this is. So see you later. It's like, why can't you do both if you're like not physical? But yeah, I don't know. But he pretty much dips out. He's like, all right, well, I'll be there. I mean, technically, she could go whenever she wants. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, whenever you're ready, I'll be there.
As long as she doesn't die first, yeah.
Correct. And so he dips out. You see his eyes kind of shut off.
Yeah.
But Cutter is like, kill those guys because, he's a bad person.
Yeah, he's got snipers and helicopter planes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he shoots Kuze in the head, but Kuze's already gone by then, so I don't know. She freaks out, but it's like you just saw him leave. What are you
Right.
doing?
I felt like it was strange that he left at this point, right? Everything that he's doing is to basically get to the cutter guy. Well, like, he's not dead. All they did was kill the robot. But that's when he chooses to end his fight.
Mike, you just blew my mind.
He's
You're
yeah, but-
right.
He's like,
But Mike-
fuck this.
But he can keep the fight going from the ones and zeros side of the fence, man.
Yes.
I'm surprised they didn't play that angle, actually. Right? Because immediately after this, Aramaki gets on the radio and he's like, "Hey, is everybody making sure Major's okay?" And they're like, "Yeah, she's gonna be fine." And you see, I think his name is Saito. He snipes the bird out of the sky. It crashes and explodes in a fiery blaze. And then Bato shows up and picks up Major, make sure she's fine. But I'm surprised they didn't play that angle with Kuze like taking over the fucking plane.
Yeah, like imagine if like within seconds
he could have done so much more. He just quit.
he just gets the yoke of the plane and like just turns it 90 degrees.
Right.
That'll get the job done. That would have been interesting. But
this is where Aramaki shows up to Cutter's lair. Also, where the fuck is this guy? What is this room?
he took the moss garden a little too far, I think. It's growing all over the walls and everything.
Yeah, and he's basically like, "Bro, you're done. Like we got all this info on you. You're fucked." And Cutter tries to shoot Aramaki, but Aramaki shoots him first. Yeah, he's too slow.
And he lines up perfectly to fall in this hilarious green pond.
Yeah, basically begging for his life, but
Yeah.
Major's like, "Nah, just kill him." And Aramaki obliges.
Yep.
And it's a cool shot. Slow-mo.
Yeah.
Fall into the water.
Well, it's like the inverse of the beginning of the movie where she's being born going up, he's dead going down. You know what I mean?
I didn't even think of it that way. That's
Nice.
smart.
Yeah, well, maybe they're not trying to draw that many parallels between him and her, but it's sort of like that.
Someone worth living, someone worth dying. He's a piece of shit, objectively.
Yeah. This is the visual of this sort of like vertical graveyard here, cemetery, was kind of interesting. Although you don't really save any unless you got indoor layers. You're not really saving any space by setting it up this way.
No.
That's actually really true. Yeah, they don't even return to the earth either. They're stuck in concrete. But she goes and visits her original grave for Motoko Kusanagi. I forget the name they gave her in this movie. Because Ule calls her the name several times. It was weird.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But it's by
you hear
design,
Major a lot.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's when you first kind of see her name spelled out, which again explains why Scarlett Johansson was not an Asian actress, right? But if people
Well,
watch
also
the
because
movie-
Also, because somebody just made her, her face in AutoCAD or something and printed it out. So that's why it's just not totally. No matter what brain they harvest, that would have been the face, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
So Motoko sees her mother and she's like, "You don't have to come here anymore because I'm not dead. I might look different, but I am your daughter." So it's really sweet. It's a cute moment in the movie. In a very dark, gritty movie, this is very sweet. And so you see her mother cleaning up her bedroom, right? Because I'm assuming she's going to move in, even though she has her own apartment.
Yeah, well now she's learned the error of her political activist ways. She's not going to hang out with those kids anymore. It never ends well.
And her apartment was probably paid for by the company, so she lost that.
Right? It's like, why don't you move your mom in there? What are you doing? It's probably a better neighborhood too.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's cute. You see Section 9 doing their shit, going on the next mission. Again, harkens back to the anime where she jumps down for the next mission and disappears. I think it's nighttime in the anime, but they showed daytime here. But just very cool. Very cool movie.
Yep, good stuff. All right, so you did a little bit of work here, sort of comparing some side by sides from the 1995 anime, and you had a bunch on one page. I actually split them up just a little bit, just so we could really take a good look at some of these.
Okay.
But here's like it's like it's there's a few, like I said, there's a few big plot changes with like the main antagonist, and just sort of like fundamentally it's the same, but they don't have the sort of shared backstory that in the 95 one that they do in this one, like in terms of them like knowing each other when they were alive, basically in the same way they sort of changed that relationship. But other than
Yeah.
that, like it's almost like a storyboard for the for this movie. Like it's hard to imagine like such a faithful adaptation. Like I don't know, it almost seems like Hollywood is like opposed to adapting stuff this accurately most of the time,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, that's
And
why I said the original creator of Ghost in the Shell was involved in making this movie, so
right.
I'm sure he had a lot to say about it, which helped, I think, keep it, so kind of true to what it was.
Yeah, but even like the color palette for the city and everything, like I mean, the saturation is bumped a little bit, but it's right in there. These are your couple of your dirtbag garbage guys talking about. It was funnier. Oh yeah, there was like like the line he tries to show him a picture of the kid. This is how close they are. I don't remember if it's the anime or the 2017 one where he tries to show a picture of the kid and the guy's like, I don't want to see boring pictures of your kid. Like the one guy just totally blows him off. He doesn't even look at the picture, which is funny because if he had looked at it, he would have seen there's no kid in the picture.
Yeah.
But one, and I forget which one it is. One of them, the guy just totally blows him off, and he's like, I don't want to look at boring pictures of your kid.
I think that's the anime because in the movie,
Yeah, I don't remember that from the movie.
in the
Yeah.
movie, he's talking about like a dance recital or something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it's funny in the anime, and I mean this. I feel like that whole like the 95 anime holds up really well. Just for a little context for me, like I watched it on a plane. They had Air Canada had it in their airplane library. God bless them. And I was watching the one. It was the Japanese one with English subtitles, and my 22-year-old Gen Z coworker sitting beside me was glued to watching it on my screen with no sound. Like it just visually, it got the kid into it, man. But but
Yeah.
yeah, like like it's almost like when I was watching them back to back, it's like you just see like even the way the lighting is handled, like you can tell probably for the 95 one, they went out like and took reference photography to get some of these apartment buildings looking this way, because like it is spot on, man. Like it's the look of the sort of overcast sky lighting up those like balconies and everything, like it is dead on.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
this scene next to the movie and the anime are so good, dude. It's handled so well. It's like they took their time, they cared about what they were doing.
Like even if you just look at like the color of the like the water splashes, it's like the exact
Yeah.
same green. Like I don't know how you even do that. I guess they probably when they were color grading the 2017 one, they probably pulled up references, but like it's close, man.
Yeah. There's the scene where she's in the water, which I don't think reflections work like that. But
They work like that on camera, maybe, but I don't think you're gonna see them that good. That looks a little too high fidelity. Yeah.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
the scene, I wish I'd got more of them fighting because that was really cool.
Yeah. Well, here's one is gonna get the video taken down here real quick, but
Yeah.
yeah, very accurate. Other than they had to nerf it a little bit for general American audiences there, but yeah. But it's like it's a storyboard, like I said. And then there's your comparison for that final shot, like sort of day versus night, but very, very accurate.
Yeah, there was a bunch of other stuff I didn't include, like that like folding gun suitcase from the beginning.
Yeah, and like the typing you were mentioning, where there's these like robot hands that have like 20 digits typing on a keyboard.
Yeah, I could have sworn I included that, but
Okay, well, I yeah, it probably got lost in the shuffle. Dean painstakingly put these screenshots together, and now he knows the suffering it is to put together a CW movie night episode.
yeah, I was like a third way through the movie, and I think I had like 60 screenshots. You were like, I usually have about 150, but that should be okay. I was like, I'm like not even close to being done. I just wanted to make sure it looked good to you.
Yeah, but man, this is it's sort of it's like like I said, I watched this movie when it came out in theaters, but I like this. What's great about doing this show for me is like it got me to watch the '95 version, which I like probably better than the 2017 one, and I wouldn't have got around to it for any other reason. But
Yeah.
but specifically, we're talking about this live action remake today. So we're gonna get into our final verdicts here. How many men of culture out of 5 do we give Ghost in the Shell 2017? And here it is. Dean, explain your 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm just giving it a 5 out of 5 because I enjoy the story. I enjoy the way they handled it, especially, the whole thing with Scarlett Johansson. Because that was a huge thing for people. And it was like, well, they explain it, and they explain it very well, and it lends to the story. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
The vibes alone, it's like Blade Runner. Like, you just take one screenshot from that movie and like you could feel that movie in your bones. The music is really good. The opening cinematic is breathtaking.
Yep.
Just the care. It kind of reminds me of the movie 300, based off the Frank Miller comic. It's like frame by frame, directly ripped from the source material, and you're just like, this is art.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, it's like that, but 300 is like you don't feel like you're watching real environments, and this it does sell
Right.
that a little better. You know what I mean? 300's like clearly filmed on like a patch of sand on a green screen, whereas this
Yeah.
this is a little more rendered. But yeah, I hear you saying, man. And Mike, was this a first time watch for you, or did you see it like a while back?
No, I've seen it a few times. I own the film on digital, so I was able to put it on the other day and watch it.
Cool.
I enjoy the movie a lot. I think, to Dean's points, the story's good. Visually, it's amazing. The music's great. I knocked it really kind of quite a bit because just some of the character depth just loses it for me, right? Some of the moments we talked about where things just maybe didn't really make any sense, or there's really no real emotional connection in some of the things. I think the movie's like an hour and 40 minutes long or something like that. If it would have used another 15 minutes to kind of build some of those relationships a little more, I think it would have done a world of difference. So that's my only real critique. But yeah, it's a blast to just put on and watch. There's nothing to really take you out of it. And it's also not something that you need to seriously commit yourself to. You can put it on. I've put it on multiple times just when I'm doing something else, just to look up and see the visuals and everything for it. So no, it's definitely, if you
Nice.
haven't watched it, it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, and I give it a 4 out of 5 just because like we gotta do what we can to correct the absolute insanity of that Rotten Tomatoes score. Like you get the cartoon, the anime is getting 9s, and they got it 40 and 50% on the critic and the audience score. That is, it's the same movie, guys. You can't assault it that badly just because you don't like Scarlett Johansson playing that role. That has nothing to do with the film's merits of its own accord. But anyways, yeah, that's so, and obviously we're sort of skewed towards the positive because we're not going to do an episode of CW Movie Night on something that you shouldn't watch. It's just, why would we do that to you guys?
That could
But
be fun, though.
That's true.
That could be fun.
Yeah.
we got a small section on collectibles here, and this is something you actually own, Dean. So tell me what we're looking at here.
Yeah, this is the 3-0 Ghost in the Shell Major. I do not have the exclusive version. I have the regular version, but the exclusive version comes with her like streetwear outfit. I really just liked her assault uniform, that Sector 9 outfit. But yeah, I saw this movie and I immediately was like, I want to own this figure. It just looks cool. I wish they had done a Bato so I could have someone to pair her with, but they didn't. I guess the movie didn't do as well as they had hoped. So just this one major figure, but I love it.
And it's not a bootleg this time, like Judge Dredd was. That's cool.
Correct. It's officially licensed 3-0. 3-0 makes good stuff. So
I didn't even. I don't think I was even conscious that 3-0 was making 1/6 figures like 8 years ago or whatever it was. That's pretty cool. It's you don't get a good look at the face is kind of soft, but it's not offensive. You know what I mean? It's like it looks pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I have obviously the sculpt, but then I got a custom sculpt by Watto Scrapyard, and then custom painted by
Wow.
Dark Side Customs. I think is Ian from
Okay.
Only Fools and Collecting painted it.
Cool.
So I think that's the sculpt I have on it now, but I don't know what I did with my figure. It's in a box somewhere.
Yeah, you got to rotate the display sometime. I would love to see the custom head you got on there. That's cool, man. But yeah, that's about it for us. We're gonna get into our Patreon read here. We got Captain Fordo, Ian CB, Renee Mendez.
Stick it in.
Oh, there it is. That's Dean's phone, everybody. That's talk about men of culture. Yeah. But Renee Mendez, Eric Mariscal, Quinn Aguirre, King Louis, Mark Pearson, Paul Schreiber, Equan, Chris Valencerina, Ben Thomas, David Jones, Sam Gist, Joao Bretta, Thomas Clark, Get Well Soon Buddy, Eric Schweitzer, Six Guns Figs, Badfish, Joe Corpus, Luke Skywalker, Dan Lee, Deanie Martin, Big Fern, Caesar American, Mark Phillips, Lisa Martin Bomonsky, Rick DeGregorio, Ricardo Valdez, Jose CZ, Alid Morgan, Tukathri Wah. Dean, have you ever said Derek's last name correctly? Because I don't know. I have a blue screen of death every time I try and read it.
I always say it's Derek B.
Okay, yeah, Derek. I get about halfway. Yeah. Maybe he'll chime in someday and tell us. Write it phonetically for us. Derek B, Arias Portillo, Alvin J, Mario Delgado, Aurelius Delgado, Toy Cartel, Sith Scale Collector, who's kind enough to join us tonight, and Jared Gagne, Alberto Cortez, Big Rib, Trevor Weed, Matt Clevenger, Don Matan, Stephen Percha, Sean Yotzi, Scott Bradley, Stephen Maria Stanley, Eddie Manzanares, Louis Bennett, Chip Perrin, Exodus, Abe Dunk TV, and GG the Judgmental. Thanks so much for your support, guys. If you want to join Patreon, here's the tiers right here. You got for the hot seat for $5 a month, which gets you access to a massive back catalog of After Dark episodes, which are still live every Wednesday, and you can catch them live. But if you don't want to stay up real late on a Wednesday and you want to be able to watch After Dark on demand, you're gonna join on the hot seat tier. And then one above that, you start getting some physical benefits where you get stickers mailed out every 2 months, right, Dean?
I believe so.
Okay, I'm not sure what the active benefits of the certified crispy and the What a Guy are. I know with the What a Guy, there's still pog sets, right?
Yeah, I think there's a few left.
Yeah, so if you want exclusive CW pog set, you should check out the What a Guy tier. I don't know if you have to subscribe for a couple months before they mail you out cool stuff, but that I would do that if I were them. But yeah, so here's the current. If you were already at least on the second tier, you would have got these two stickers, the November and December Patreon. bonus stickers are, you got a Mary Oxsmith's sticker there, and we don't know what the December one is going to be yet. I don't know if you got any rumors on that, Dean.
I sent Zach one, and then there was another one. So it's either going to be the Quacker Zacks, or
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, or the job's not finished sticker.
Okay. Well, both of those are awesome. And if you join the Patreon, like I said, you can on the second tier and above, you can get these awesome stickers mailed to you every other month. And there have been some real bangers over the last couple years, but you never know what's coming, so you want to get in there and sign up for that. That's good stuff. And yeah, man. So here we got our YouTube channel members: Absolute Irwin, Alvin J, Andrew Gibo, Benjamin Hansen, Big Ol' Fern, Bob Dylan, CC3PO, Chris V, CT603, DJ, Daminator, Doc Smizzle, Equan, Fat Batman, Gare Bear, Good Old Spotchka, Gotham Cenobites, Justin Sports Card, LV Avenger 702, Mark Pearson, Mike Litteris, Money Mendez, OG Fan, OMFG Rick, 1/6 Figure Focus, Paul Schreiber, Philip the Fool, S Beam, Sam Gist, Scarn Lord, SpongeBob SquareBalls, Sunnyvale Russ, The Ben Thomas Show, Toy Mafia, and Exodus. Thanks so much, guys. And if you want to join the YouTube channel members, I think if you're already a Patreon, you get a discounted rate on that. I think it's like 99 cents if you're already a Patreon. You get some what do you call those? You get like exclusive icons you can post in the chat, right? Like what do you call those things, Dean?
Emojis.
I thought it had like a more YouTube related word, but yeah. So and then here's the other shows on the network. You got the main show, Collecting Weekly Live, where with Dean, Zach, and often Mike these days, and you're gonna talk about all your 1/6 news on that. Great episode this week, guys. Check that out if you missed it. And yeah, man, After Dark, which was on last night, and you might still be able to catch it on YouTube, but I would act soon. And if you're not a Patreon, Mind Flayer's Web, that's over for now, right, guys?
Yeah, we finished Baldur's Gate. We're still looking into what we're going to play next. So
cool. So yeah, there'll be back to some kind of role-playing game at some point. And then small talk. Go ahead.
I think Saturdays we're doing Pokemon cards for now.
Okay, cool. I don't know how you're setting that up, but that's interesting. Okay. Oh, you're like opening packs. Cool. Yeah. And then you got small talk every other Thursday, where we do a lot of 112 news and reviews, and then just another Friday night where Chuck and Double A talk about they do a lot of modern entertainment reviews, like current TV shows and stuff. It's a good time. You can catch that tomorrow night probably. And that's about it. And as far as CW movie night, I have no idea what our next episode is. Will Classy Thomas return? Will he be part machine when he does return? We don't know. It's all up in the air. Maybe Dean or Mike's gonna get a pick next time if they're still hanging out. Who knows? But this was a real fun episode, guys, and I really appreciate you hanging out and sliding some cool movie selections into the mix for me, because I was not feeling inspired, and I'm glad when something cool gets delivered to me for a change. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this was a fun pick. Good job, Dean.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to plug before we head out? All right, cool.
You're muted. Dean.
Oh. Damn, I'm sorry, I was muted. Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me pick another movie. I know Zach wants to do Dark Crystal.
Yep. Well, I'll do Dark Crystal.
Dark Crystal.
I'll do it, but Zach has to show up for sure, because I don't like it that much.
You're gonna get him to show up.
He's got to show up, because I'm just not that passionate about Dark Crystal, I must say. But if we got somebody there who is, I'm in. That's all.
Yeah, if Zach does it, I'll join. Mike, I don't know if you like Dark Crystal.
I've never seen it.
Oh
Oh
well,
wow, yeah,
it's worth
Give me a reason
watching.
to.
Yeah, it's worth watching. I'm just, it's one of those like Gen X movies that's like it's basically like if Labyrinth is like Jim Henson just enough, Dark Crystal is like Jim Henson too much. It's like it's
That's
like it's like Labyrinth, but take out the human actors and hope that you can survive 2 hours.
Yeah,
But
it takes a while to get going, but
Yeah.
once it gets going, it's really good. But
yeah, I mean, it's just from a cinema history perspective, you should watch it at least once, Mike. But yeah, maybe that'll be our next one. Who knows? It's a freak show. But yeah, I had a lot of fun this week, guys. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll catch you on the next one.